So I've coloured 120 grams of Saracino modelling paste with beige gel colour and a touch of brown. I've also added a small amount of black just to mute the colour down. So we've got this lovely soft light brown. Now this is actually 25 grams I have here because we're going to start with the body, and I'm just working the paste, getting it nice and warm and stretchy. Okay, so when I feel that it's ready, what I want to do is I'm going to start with rolling a ball. Okay, so let's go with that. See how lovely it is? That's because I worked it well first. There's no cracks. Right, now what we want to do is we want to roll it into a cone shape. With this part of my hand, I'm just going to put it at the end of the ball, and I'm just going to roll. Can you see? Like this. So we want this to be approximately 5 centimetres tall. So if we just get my ruler, it doesn't have to be exact, but just to give you a guide so you know what you're aiming for. That's fine. Okay, so now what we can do, because it's a cute little teddy, if we just use our little finger, just roll slightly there so we've got a lovely little tummy. Now also, if you was making a child, you could do this the other way around. So this was the back and this was the tummy. So like for a baby who's wearing a nappy and you've got it all bulky at the back, but this time we want it to be a little belly. So okay, so that's our body. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the legs. So I've got 2 pieces of paste here. So for the legs, I've got 10 grams paste for each leg. Just going to roll each into a ball after working as before. So just going to soften that up. There we go. Right, so what we want to do with this is we want to go halfway on the ball and we're going to roll and indent it. Okay, so can you see that shape? Now what I want to do is the one end, I'm going to roll that so it's part of the leg. So we've got this shape here. Okay. Now what we want is we want to make this the foot. So I'm going to press that down onto the board, and you can pinch and shape as you're going, and then just do that. There you go. You've got your foot. I'll just, there we go, and your leg. Now what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to cut at an angle, take the excess away, and then we can attach that to the body. And I think it's quite nice to have the foot pointing out. Now you're not really going to see much of this one, but it's your practice one. There we go, making mistakes on that one. There we go. Right, so we're going to do the same again for the other leg. So roll in the centre. Okay, so you've got kind of like that kind of width. And then we're just going to roll out the rest to match. We want to flatten that part, so let's press down onto the board. You can shape, you can use your thumb if you need to, that's easier. Just want to flatten that bit and we want to have this more padded. So there we go. Now we want to check. Yeah, that's fine. We want to check it's approximately the same size as the other pad. But like I said, you're not going to see that one, so it's not too bad. We're going to do the same as before and we're going to cut at an angle. Take that away. Now, I'm kind of having these legs a little bit open, so there's room for the heart. Now, what's nice to do now is to mark in a stitch. So I've got the stitching tool here. There's all different types that you can get, but here we go. So I like the fact that it's got the pointed end as well. So right, what we're going to do is just go down centrally, down the body, and just put your stitches in, and at the side of the legs too. And now what you can also do is make some little pulls of the fabric. So if you just mark in little lines there, you don't have to do this. Just these little details that I like. Let's not forget the back. Let's do the back too. Let's have a look. There we go. There's this little body. We're going to put that aside because now I want to make the heart. So this teddy's holding a massive heart. I've used fuchsia Saracino modelling paste for this, and this is the ready coloured stuff, and I just love the colour. You don't need to bother colouring up anything because it's already nicely done. I have added a tiny bit of white to this though to bring the colour down a bit, just for this teddy. Now we want to roll into a ball. Right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do what we did before between these parts of the hands, and we're going to roll into a cone. See? Nice cone shape. And now I'm going to use my stitching tool, and we want to make it halfway, and we're going to press in and around. Okay, and then use your thumb, just soften this part, and then we're going to put on the board and press down with this part of our hand down the edges to the board. We don't want to flatten the whole thing. We want to keep the centre plump. I'm just going to take that up off the board. Mark that line back in and soften. I used to make loads of these when I was younger with blue tack. When I was a barmaid, I used to mess about when I should be working and just practice making little things. And this was one of them, little tiny hearts. So now I'm just going to pinch the base. This is why Saracino is such a lovely paste to work with, because it doesn't dry too quickly, so you can play about with it. But there's your heart. Okay, and now what we want to do is we want to leave that aside to just slightly harden. So let's just put that down there. Right, so now both of these pieces have a time to set a little. I'm just going to attach the heart to the body. Now I want some of the body to show, so I'm just going to play around. There we go, that's nice. Like this. Now if your paste is still quite tacky, you won't need any glue because it sticks to itself lovely. If it's not, if it's gone quite hard where it's not tacky anymore, just add a bit of edible glue. You can use the Saracino gel and that'll glue it together, but see, this one's stuck fine. So for the paws, we're going to use 4 grams for each. So again, just working it. There we go. See? So again, like with the feet or the legs, I'm going to go halfway and I'm just going to thin out like this. So you've got this kind of shape, and we're going to only slightly roll the arm. We kind of want to keep it a little bit wider here for the shoulders, and I'm just going to flatten the hand. I'm just going to attach to the top, and we're going to bring his little paw around to hold on to the heart and press that down. And again, see, this will just stick nicely, but if it doesn't, then just use a bit of glue. There we go. Okay. And with the other arm, again, roll in the middle, exactly the same. Thin that part, flatten this part. Just want to bend that slightly because he's going to be over the edge of the heart, so we're just going to do that. So we're going to bring him round. So we're going to leave these to set. What we do, I'm just going to mark in my stitch. Couple of little pulls. Okay. Right, so now I'm going to do the head. So this is 60 grams of the Saracino. It's going to work as before. If your paste gets too hot when you're working with it, just put it down for a short while to rest, because the warmth of your hands can, especially in the summer, it can get it quite warm. So that's what I do, is just leave it for a little. But that's what makes it such a lovely paste, because you can keep going back to it for a while, whereas some pastes, they'll just dry out really quickly, and it's really difficult to work with paste like that, I find. So right, okay, so we've got the round head. Now what I want to do is I'm going to mark a third of the way up the head, see? And then I'm going to roll and indent it like this. Okay. Yep. And I'm going to use the flat of my hand to just smooth the top. So you've got that lovely, lovely shape. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I've got a bone tool here, and with the largest end I'm going to mark in, not too deep, so we just want them equally spaced. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, with my fingers, just going to blend that in a bit. And then with the smallest, I'm just going to indent the eyes. There we go. So you see the eyes should be really low down on the face. We don't want them halfway. We want them lower because it's just cuter. For the eyes, I'm going to use a touch of the brown. And also I'm just going to add a bit of black as well because I want them to be darker, but I don't want to go full on black. So let's just mix those. So I'm just going to roll a couple of little balls. I'm just going to aim for a similar diameter as the end of the tool. Okay, so we're just going to do another one the same. Right. Okay, so just going to just roll them into an oval and then pop them in. Try and get them straight, not like what I've just done. Just going to press them in. I don't want them sticking out. Right, now what I want to do is, again, I'm going to do a line all the way down, so we want to be central, so take your time. Let's go down the back. And I'm going to mark in little pull lines here. Let's do one here. Okay, and now we're going to do two little ears. So I've just rolled two balls. I'd say they're large pea sizes. I'm just going to position each maybe about here. It doesn't really matter, like, it's up to you. Every teddy will be different. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press in the ear and then into the head, and then just go over that again. There we go. So again on this side, I'm just going to press into the head and then just tidy that up. Okay, right, so now we're going to do a little nose area. So what I want to do is I'm going to take some of our teddy colour And we're going to mix it with, say, I'm going to try an equal part of white. So see how we get on with this. Because I just want a paler version, really. There's no right or wrong. We just definitely don't want it the same colour because I think it's more interesting when it's different. There we go, that's actually perfect. So for this, I'm just going to measure 1.5 grams. So let me just, right, so yes, we have 1.5 grams of this. So roll into a ball. Flatten it slightly. Place on the face. So I kind of want it to come down to the base there because I don't want anything showing under. I want it to come right down. And then this top bit I'm going to slightly press in. Reshape. Just going to mark in where I'm going to have my nose. So I'm probably going to go about there. I'm going to take a small amount of brown. I'm going to roll a small ball of that. Go. So what we want to do now is I'm going to put some highlights in the eyes. So you can roll out the paste and use a nozzle to cut out the circles, or you can just roll tiny little balls like this, which is what I'm going to do this one. Or you can even use the white paint. Doing it like this can be fiddly, but I like the look that it gives when you've got actual paste rather than paint. So what I'm going to do, I'm not really going to do any eyebrows or anything, but I'm just going to mark them in because I'm not a fan. I've done them before on teddies and I've not liked them, so I'm just going to try not to make him look angry. Eyebrows are very powerful on the face. They can change everything. So here we go. Just going to place him so his neck would be here, but I want him to slant a bit, so maybe not as much. Now what I want to do is add a few little more details. So I'm going to add the pads to his feet. So I'm going to use the same colour paste as I used for the nose area. I call it a muzzle, but I'm not sure if that's the right name. Okay, so roll a quite big ball and flatten it. And we're going to attach to the foot. Again, we're gonna, in fact, I'm going to do 4. Smaller one. Right. Okay, so we're going to oh, there we go. And now what I want to do is add some cheeks. I'm going to use a little bit of the Saracino pink powder to mix that with a small amount of Trex, or you can use petal base. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add that to the face. Blend it in. Now if you find it's too pale, it just means you need more colour because it's too diluted. So let's just see how more intense that is. The reason I like to use this is because if I use powder on its own, I make a mess. And I've learnt that about myself. So you can always give him a little tail as well. Should we give him a little? There we go, finished.